Isaac.
This is Stephanie.
Going backwards on you.
Welcome
Oh.
to,
Yeah.
what number is this? Podcast number 9, 10?
This is 11. Yeah, it's 11.
11. Oh, I forget about the recap.
Yep.
The mishap.
Yep.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was number 9,
That was.
Yep.
10, and then this is 11.
Yep.
Sweet.
Awesome.
And today is about stress, cortisol,
Stress.
the silent killer.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll link it back to gut health, which we talked about last week, and how that all overlaps.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Huge overlap between gut health.
A huge overlap with stress in just about everything.
Well, I found a really interesting article, and I wish I had seen it before, but they were talking about how gut health can actually impact asthma, sleep, and stress, obviously, which we knew about, and cancer growth. They were saying, like, if you have good gut bacteria, it'll actually inhibit the growth of cancer and decrease the negative effects of chemotherapy.
Makes the sense. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
that's
we won't
really,
have
really good.
as like it amplifies the effect in the body, but not the effect on the body.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah. So basically, you're taking the chemo, you're doing all that stuff, and what's happening is the bacteria is basically being fortified by it and getting stronger. Versus when you have bad gut bacteria, it's basically just a nuclear bomb for your whole body.
Yeah, that's true.
So
See, because it's like the one thing about cancer and like probiotics, there's a big like disconnect because technically probiotics are bacteria,
Mhm.
and with cancer, like you don't want to introduce bacteria into someone who has a compromised immune system. But I would imagine with something like that, if you have been trying to maintain or you've been doing a good job of eating well and things like that, and you end up with cancer, I feel like incorporating the probiotics might not be a bad thing, because then you're not, I don't know, like I feel like you wouldn't be necessarily as immunocompromised. I don't know. I feel like that.
That would
I'm
also
very
go-
conflicted on that.
If you have good gut bacteria, good gut health, you probably have a higher fiber diet, so you can probably build your own faster than the average person.
I totally.
That's true. I didn't.
Because I remember now what you're saying, because it's better to get it from foods for sure.
Yeah.
We were talking about
Prebiotics.
gut health. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're having that diet already, like you're getting it from foods, and then you're going through chemo, I think adding that probiotics to your
Yeah.
diet for sure can help.
I
That's
don't
cool.
think it would be as
As harmful.
big of a deal, but I feel like if you're eating Whataburger every day, and then all of a
feeding
sudden,
the bad bacteria. so-
exactly, so you've got all this
Yeah.
bad bacteria, and then
And
so
then
you've
you're
got the
like-
bad bacteria,
you
and then
think
you
of-
have chemo, and then you're trying to add good bacteria. I don't think that would mesh.
No.
And then you're just relying on a capsule to save you.
Yeah.
That's not going to work. No.
Exactly.
But yeah, and then of course, I guess right into stress. So what is stress?
Shit.
Gosh. that's-
Stress is, man,
know.
it's everything. That's why.
Everything, yeah.
That's why we're kind of like,
And
we're
we-
like, well, you guys picked it. How do you not
Yeah.
know what you're going to say?
Well, when you think about that, but that's it. So when you talk to the average client, we ask, "How stressed are you?" I think I'm like, I don't care. I think I was.
Get up in
I don't
here.
know. Oh no, it was the strap. Never mind.
Oh, yeah, you're arguing.
When you think about
I can
the
see
what stress is and how we talk about stress, and we always ask everybody,
What's up,
like,
man?
"Are you stressed?" No, I'm not stressed. My life is pretty simple. I wake up, I get the kids ready for school, I make breakfast for the kids, I get myself ready for work, then I sit in traffic for a half hour, I drop the kids off, and then usually I'm running like 5 minutes behind, and I got to get to work, and when I get to work, I've got a meeting, and you hear all these things, and you're like, well, shit, if that was my life, like, that'd be
I'd
terrifying. Like, I'm
You
listening to
sound
this getting,
busy.
yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
you're not stressed? No, it's just my life. But we've normalized the stress, and that's why, like, when you think about stress, it's clearly defined as something that's acting on your sympathetic nervous system to excite the body. That's the technical definition. But when you think about what causes the stress, that list of things. So if you were to itemize your day in a list,
Man.
you would actually see what's going on. Because we're not built for 55 tasks. We're built to hunt, gather, procreate.
Survive.
Yeah, survive. That's
Survive
it.
and reproduce.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
So
you're
survive,
right. If
reproduce.
you itemized it, you're right. And that's just things we're seeing,
Mhm.
not the things we're already starting off with.
Yeah.
The environmental toxins and everything we're breathing in and putting on our face. I forgot the number, but we definitely know that women are more exposed to toxins than men.
Yeah.
Because of the makeup and the cosmetics and everything that And not, some men do use it as well.
Yeah.
We have some gel products that we use, right? But women are also using that.
Yeah.
What else are we exposed to? Like
Cleaners.
cleaners. Yeah, that's right.
But, okay, go.
No, you're good. You're good.
Oh.
Because you brought up cleaners, and that I just had a conversation with my mom this morning. Well, maybe it wasn't this morning. It was maybe the other day. But we were talking about growing a garden, and we try to eat better.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that we're trying to eat as I guess untouched, like you said, processed. As untouched as possible. And lessing down the pesticides. So she wants to grow a garden. And we were talking about these YouTube videos that she's been watching, because my mom gets in these YouTube holes. Sorry, Mom. She does. And, but she was talking about, she watched some video on autism. And I genuinely believe that autism is more prevalent because of our diets, because of, when you think about it, if you go into sciencey, nerdy stuff, if you go into nutritional epigenetics, which in terms is pretty much like a longitudinal study on how food and the environment affects our genome. If you look at that in poor nutrition, I have a purpose, I promise. There's a purpose for me going into this. If you look at this in terms of what's being consumed, deficiencies for nutrients and macronutrients, poor diet, high processed foods. If you go into that, you're looking at poor body function. And when your body functions poorly, your genes don't replicate properly. Because if you don't have all the right proteins to be able to build what it's asking to be built, things don't come out correctly. So then when you talk about women's eggs, if you talk about men's sperm, those are all replicated cells. That's all that is. So that genome is replicating and separating and doing what it's supposed to do. That's what our body is built to do. But if we don't have the proper nutrition, if we don't have the proper micronutrients, those replications get messed up. And then you get mutations in the genes and things like that. And so I genuinely believe a lot of things that we have issues with now come from our really, really crappy diet from our predecessors. Is what I genuinely believe, that there's a lot of issues that can be solved with proper diet, nutrition. Now, that being said, that also goes into the food that we're eating, which is covered and loaded in pesticides. And my mom, it's funny because she's like, I don't know if it's just the older generations. She's like, but I've never used Roundup. I don't see the purpose of spraying my weeds when I can go, bloop, if it's that big of a deal. Just go pull them out of my garden or whatever. She's like, but both of our neighbors, where they live, are elderly couples. And she's like, it is so bad you can smell it. She's like, he will just go through and soak his lawn in Roundup. And she's like, and it makes me wonder what those things have done to our genetics, what, consuming those kinds of foods have done to our genetics in terms of the stresses that's put on the body to prevent proper body function.
Well, yeah, because back to that older generation, my client, they'd spray the pesticides, and they would go run and play in it.
Yeah.
Like it was a water sprinkler. And she's like, now we were having a discussion, she's like, is that affecting me? And I'm like,
I don't know.
Probably, what do you think? And she's like, yeah, because we didn't think it was bad. Nobody thought it was bad. We just thought it was fun. Yeah. And it's the older generation. They were raised on, this is good, this is safe, this needs to happen, right? Like, yeah, and I think you hit it right on the head. It's just nutrition, genetics over time.
Yeah, and there was a Rhonda Patrick study she was talking about a study. She wasn't part of the study, but they actually studied, going back to epigenetics. They studied I forget what country it was. This is a horrible example. They studied a country that was going through a famine during the 60s, so whatever country it would have been. And what they found was the kids that were born actually had higher rates of metabolism and lower disease risk because they were forced to fast. So their parents were forced to fast, and because their parents were fasting, it actually had a positive impact on the kids when they were born.
Yeah.
So if you think about that having that positive impact, if your parents are playing in pesticides and then they grew up with the pesticides in their system or whatever else, that's going to translate down to you in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, it's honestly like as much as it kind of sucks, is like we are one longitudinal study of what's safe and what's not.
Yeah.
And so, in terms of when people ask, well, what should I be eating? I mean, really and truly, you should be eating the most natural sources as possible. Only because, that's the way it's naturally there. Why would I want to consume something that I genuinely don't know if it's going to affect me? And it might not right now, but it might affect my children. It might affect my children's children because of, gene replication.
Which actually goes into what we were talking about before we even started about the Lykie cat.
The Lycoids.
Lycoids. Because you think about it, it was a genetic mutation that we bred into existence, so it became a naturally occurring cat.
It's more common, yeah. And it's a completely natural gene mutation. And it happens. You see that in birds, you see it in animals. Gene mutations are natural and normal and helps for the longevity of a species. You need some kinds of, gene mutations, and that's okay. And so, like in the case of the Lycoid cats, it was a naturally occurring gene mutation that they found, and they've discovered it's happened a couple of times now. So now they've gathered those cats and are breeding them so that you have a new type of cat. It's really neat. They look really cool. Look them up. They're really cool.
The male
picture right there.
Aries,
Yeah.
the male Pyrenees, they have an extra dew claw.
Yeah.
They have the 6th dew claw to help with the climbing.
I noticed that one.
Yeah. Athena doesn't have it.
Yeah.
I thought all of the Pyrenees had it, but apparently it's just I guess it's just
a male
some.
thing?
I don't know, male
Oh.
thing, yeah.
Maybe.
Other dogs have it too, it's not just the Pyrenees. But
Pyrenees.
genetic mutation for sure. Like
Yeah.
it's just, they're like,
Like-
oh, we need something here to help us climb this mountain.
And that goes back to what we
Yeah.
talked about with the humans and the humanoids. Like the
Yeah.
humanoids were a mutation, the humans were a
Yeah.
mutation from them. So
Then
all
the
we did is-
Neanderthals and the
Yeah.
6 or 7 different types. Yeah, absolutely.
So when you think about those brackets of mutations, those happen over centuries. So going back to what we talked about last time with foods that you can digest, things that our bodies can process, we can't process bleach. Yeah, it's been around for maybe a century.
Or
but-
hydrolyzed starch.
Yeah, you can't get into it. There's no way for your body to get used to that product that was created
20, 30,
20,
40
30
years ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So even if you had bleach and ammonia and everything else around you, your body didn't figure out how to synthesize that and either not use it or break it down and get rid of it. So any of the chemicals we come in contact with, which
We're breathing in and out. Yeah, absolutely.
which of course is a huge pet peeve of mine, because people talk about chemicals in their food and chemicals and stuff, and it's like, oh, well, water's a chemical, so is bleach.
I mean, technically,
Ammonia.
everything is made of
Yeah.
molecules.
I
Everything
like how
is
you
like,
look right at the
I
camera,
know.
so it's bleach.
It was bleach.
there's compounds, atoms. Yes, everything technically, and which makes me laugh because they can get away with putting foods are natural
Mhm.
on, boxes like
Yeah.
processed foods because it's all natural ingredients.
All
Once
natural.
upon a time, yes, it was because there are
Yeah.
apple bits in there,
Mhm.
there are oats in there, but everything has been processed and broken down. So I mean, yes, what is in there is from natural sources, but it's not natural anymore.
Yeah. Well, when you think about it, extra sugar, some sort of gelatinous material to weld together like a gummy bear, and some sort of fruit flavoring is all naturally occurring. I mean, sugar is naturally occurring, gelatin's naturally occurring, and the fruit, it's naturally occurring. But whatever happens when it's all put together and you consume it is something massively different.
Exactly. Like there's a very
Curveball.
big
Yeah.
Curveball. Didn't
Yeah.
see that coming.
So like there's a very big difference between like baking bread and having, homemade bread.
Mhm.
That's if you go and you grind your wheat, all
Yeah.
those things, if that's all naturally occurring, like you're just taking a wheat kernel and grinding it and then adding it with, fat and liquid and baking it and rising it, which naturally there's usually yeast in the bread, so that rises and then you bake it. That's very much a natural occurring
And
because
that's
all you're
the
doing is just
Example we'll use in class all the time is the Amish. When you look at their table, you see breads and gravies and butters, but it's all natural.
Exactly.
And that's
No
the
hormones
difference.
or
If
anything
there's no
else.
processed, there's nothing of that.
What you mean?
No pesticides in the gardens and the crops that they're growing.
And it's all sustainable. Like they're proving the sustainability of not using, pesticides and fertilizers and everything else because they're using naturally occurring fertilizers. They're using animal manure, compost, things like that to fertilize their fields.
See, they're even using other plants.
Yeah.
Like to keep mosquitoes and like lemon. My brother told me this is cool. Lemongrass helps keep mosquitoes away.
Have you ever smelt lemongrass?
Yeah.
It's so strong. Like my grandma had
Yeah, it smells-
lemongrass like in her like little garden. Which now think about it, probably was for mosquitoes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just you
see,
walk
and
past
it's
and
not
you get
just
this
that,
just
but
like,
it's for that reason.
and it's very strong. So if we can smell it, oh gosh, can you imagine like
Oh,
the insects and everything else?
It's exactly what it's there for. That's their protective. The lemongrass is protective.
Of itself.
Yeah, so cool for sure.
It's awesome.
Man, so that's kind of gut health stress in the
Yeah, but that's exactly right.
nutrition and how that affects everything.
And when you go back to the chemicals of it, like when you look at bleach and ammonia, like going back to the gut health, going back to the stress, it kills off bacteria, which drives up your stress levels because now you can't create the bacteria because
Defend
there's
yourself.
I mean, you can put your hand in a bucket of bleach, that stuff is going right into your system. I know you wouldn't want to do it. Burn
That's
like crazy.
horrible.
Don't do
Oh my
that.
gosh.
But the thing about it, that's what people do when they clean. You know, I'm
Yeah.
cleaning stuff, and I got like bleach in a spray bottle, and now I'm spraying everything down. I'm breathing in the bleach.
But doing
I've got
it
it
with a
on.
rag and with a bare hand,
Mhm.
and yeah, it's,
I did that once. True story.
you know, we don't have bleach or anything. We're cleaning with these essential oil things.
Mhm.
It's called Thieves, and it's a household cleaner, and you just mix it with water. And it's like one of those things where you can, safe for dogs, and it's like completely like we can wash dishes, clean the countertops, wash clothes with it, and it's all completely natural. Really, really cool stuff. You just like a cap full in a 30-ounce bottle of water, and unless you need like you're really gonna clean, then you
Yeah.
and we even mop the floors with it, like everything. We'll just spray the floor and do our mop. Like we use it for everything. Yeah, I don't even think we don't use the dish soap yet. We haven't made that full transition just because we just haven't done it. But I can honestly say it's really helped my allergies. I used to have the mold and cedar, like every year. It was so bad, and then once I started cleaning with this stuff, they don't affect me as bad. Every now and then when it's really, really bad, I'm affected, but yeah, it's crazy. All natural cleaners.
All natural.
I start to add other things to it.
Yeah. What's they do with, you know, they don't, not just that, but they put the oils in the cleaning spray in the Pilates studio.
Yeah.
So it has a nice smell to it, so
It
you're not
kind of
smelling.
lingers, yeah, and then it covers the,
Yeah, you
absolutely.
don't smell the disinfectant.
Yeah,
You know, it's a natural
and that's the
disinfectant.
cool thing about the natural stuff is even the smell is pleasant. It's
Yeah.
it's like Christmas.
Mhm.
So it's like cinnamon, peppermint, eucalyptus, lemon, and then whatever I add, tea tree or something to make it even better. But and then I use it on my dogs. Thieves on my dogs. Put it between their collarbone or their shoulder blades. Sorry.
You're pointing at it, and I'm like, yeah, totally, yeah, that's what it is.
Put it between the shoulder blades and just put a drop or two, and yeah, it helps with the fleas and ticks, man. And I still use medicine,
Yeah.
but I don't use the medicine as often every month. I'm
Yeah.
using it like every month and a half, 2 months. When I see the fleas are like getting really bad, I'm like, let's take a bath, let's put
Yeah.
it back on. But these, for the most part, it's pretty crazy. It's kind of wild. I don't want to be that essential oil but it's kind of like it's working.
If it works.
It's nuts.
I mean,
It's
and
nuts. Yeah.
That's the big thing. That's where you can use naturally occurring things that we would have used.
Yeah.
I mean, like we all know that lemon and citrus stuff acts like a disinfectant and things
Yeah.
like that. And that's why, like, I can't remember the brand that we use.
It's antimicrobial. It's antiviral. It's antifungal. It's like crazy. It's
Well,
yeah.
Same thing for a lot of different essential oils.
Everything.
I mean,
yeah.
tea
Thyme,
tree oil is a
tea
really
tree.
good one. But the only thing is, like, if you have cats, you can't use essential oils because a lot of essential oils are really, really bad for cats.
Yeah.
So that's the only
there's-
downside. Dogs have a much more
You're talking about putting on
range.
them.
Putting on them and using them in the
yeah.
household.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I had peppermint oil because I had ants, like I had sugar ants once upon a time. Oh, it was a terrible, terrible, terrible trying to get rid of those. And so one of the things that was online was peppermint oil. And I was like, maybe I'll get some and try it. So of course, you know, always trying to be careful and make sure that I can use the stuff around the cats. I Google it, and it's like whole bunches and bunches of like essential oils you can't use around cats. Just because cats, unlike dogs and us, like when we smell something, our body, if it's a toxin, our body will get rid of it. Like it'll just kind of
Yeah.
push it out. Cats don't do that. They hold it. They store it.
Can I
and
ask
so-
you what that peppermint oil? Where'd you buy it?
Oh, I didn't end up buying any because I was afraid
you
to
just read
like,
it.
yeah.
Because
to
I
use
have
it.
clients who are using oils and they have cats, and there's
Because a lot of times it's not going to affect them right away.
because they're diluting it though. They're not just strictly doing straight
Yeah, and that's
It's
usually
definitely-
okay. And there's different oils and stuff like peppermint oil and stuff that's like really, really bad for them,
They're
especially
really bad, and then there's.
like directly
I'm
onto
gonna
them.
research more into that because I have a book that literally has a whole section for pets, and
Yeah.
it has some that are safe for cats, and it does say there's some that are absolutely.
Yeah,
illegal.
there are a couple of them that aren't a big deal for
Yeah.
cats. But peppermint oil was a big one that I had seen, and yeah,
It's also because it's like one drop is
Yeah.
so pure,
yeah,
right? So we
It's
know
very
that,
potent.
and like dogs, Aries is 100 pounds, a
Yeah.
cat's 10.
Oh
Five?
no, my cats are like 15.
15. So like, but still like, Aries 100, you know,
Yeah.
and Athena's 70, and your dog Rogue's 90 or something.
No,
the biggest
she's,
one.
she's a little one. I think she's only about 40 pounds. The biggest one's about 75, 80 right now.
And then essential oils are for like horses. They use them a lot for horses.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
the bigger
I've seen that too,
livestock
yeah.
animals, like first, and it's just like dogs too, because you
Yeah.
have and cats, but they're really I think they're really meant for the bigger stuff.
I think so.
But back to stress.
Yeah.
I love how we
What-
went on like
let's
a really
go-
weird
that was
tangent.
kind of
Yeah.
I think
I'm not gonna lie, that was
so we know
impressive.
stress is essentially everything. Like
Yeah.
stress is anything that it could be traffic.
Oh, that was me this morning because
Yeah.
there was an accident and I was
Oh,
like
really?
stressed out because
Oh,
I'm like
man.
I'm not gonna get to class on time. I'm not gonna get to class
Oh my!
on time.
It's stress is me
Yeah.
driving home and hoping Athena didn't get into the trash. Like
Yeah.
that's stress. Like I'm like, oh gosh, because
That's
I already
bad.
know how I'm gonna react. I'm like, I'm gonna be so mad if she's got into the trash.
Yeah.
Stress is
Stress is like anything. I mean, literally waiting in traffic.
Eating sugar.
Eating sugar.
that's stress.
That's one of the things that people don't realize because they feel better after they do it. You get that instant gratification, but because there's that cortisol and then insulin and then adrenaline spike that goes with it, you're creating a stressful situation by what you consumed, not by what you're doing.
Yeah.
So if we were to sit here and just start eating gummy bears, minus all the chemical stuff that we just talked about, you'd create a stressful environment because now you're like, oh, I got all this sugar in my system and now I have to burn it off.
Well, prime example right here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only 3 grams sugar, but there's caffeine.
Mhm.
I'm creating that stressful environment of pay attention, focus, because that's what I mean. It kind of does, right?
Exactly what it does.
But that's it. It's a sugar. Like I'm burning sugar right now.
But that's very important. Like that's very important that you guys are touching on that because when I talk to clients, I'm like, okay, so what would you, you're like, whoa.
It's about the stressful environment.
Like, what would you define your stress levels as? And it's, I'm not very stressed. I'm not stressed at all. I mean, I don't really do anything. I'm fine. I mean, other than work, and that's about it. I'm like, okay, well, how are your sleep? Oh, I don't get sleep. Okay, well, there's stress.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you exercise? Oh, I work out like 6 days a week, like twice a week. Oh, okay, well, there's more stress. And that's important, is to understand that stress is not just what you actually feel. It's not just, oh, I'm not getting, or I'm stressed out because, my son is sick, or whatever. Or I'm stressed out because I've got a tiny kitten at home that I'm trying to find a home for, and I'm trying not to keep him. like,
Plug.
Yeah, plug.
Drop a link right
I'll
here.
put,
It's just
yeah,
in case
there'll be,
anyone wants a
there'll be a
kitten.
picture of the tiny kitten
Oh,
like,
yes,
right
he's
there.
so cute. By the time this comes out, hopefully I'll have found him a home.
Yeah. If not.
If not, so there he is. But yeah, so for me, that's stressful because I'm sitting here thinking, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And so I mean, it's not just what you feel, because a lot of times you cause stress on your body that you don't feel, that you don't realize, and it is things like eating sugar, overworking yourself here in the gym. There's lots of things that can cause stress on the body.
Yeah, muscle tightness, muscle imbalance.
Yeah.
So one of the things.
Nutrient deficiencies.
Yeah.
Holding on to too much fat.
Yeah. Fat itself is inflammatory, which of
Mhm.
course is bad. We did that in one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
what is fat? Bad.
Bad. Oh.
Yeah. But when you have like tight muscles, so like going back to the dogs and cats, before they move, they do some sort of stretch, they do some sort of mobility, and then they go do what they do. People don't do that. People get up and they move, which, okay, that's fine if you've already been up and moving, but first thing in the morning when you wake up, your body's usually stiff, you're not feeling as good, your muscles aren't as pliable, you don't stretch, you go to the shower, or you go, get breakfast, or you do whatever.
You literally only move
Uh-huh.
this far. We're not doing anything that's
For-
causing us to really warm up.
Yeah. Now that I've
Sorry,
But,
it's
yeah.
the caffeine.
But when you think about it, like, that's one of the reasons why we get a feedback loop. So if we're tight, not Isaac, because he's this.
I know, Isaac is great today.
How much caffeine have you had today, bud?
No, dude, don't go there. No, just my first one. It's just because I'm drinking it during it's like
Oh.
kicking in.
So if you're tight, so if the three of us were tight, like let's say all of us have tight hamstrings, The hamstring gets us moving, and now your brain is going, why are they tense? Like, is there going to be some sort of fight or flight? Are they going to attack somebody? Are they going to attack each other? Are they going to run? So now your tightness is actually sending feedback that you should be on alert, not because you need to be on alert. Like, you guys watch this. Like, we've never fought each other in here. But the brain is going, oh, that's tight. They're tense. What's going to happen?
What's about to happen?
Yeah. So
It's
you're
just
getting
that,
ready.
That anxiety.
Yeah. And there's no need for it, because that's where we start looking at things that are innate and irrational. So you have an irrational stressor that has nothing to do with it. Like, there's no reason to be stressed, but your brain is going, I'm here for fight or flight. That's my sole purpose. Ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it never goes.
Yeah, it never goes.
And it always just stays.
And it gets worse.
Which, I mean, you're stressed out, and some people carry stress in their muscles.
Yeah. We use that with your clients. I need you to row. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, I need you to row.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
And
like, I found one of the most important things when you get a new client is kind of set the expectation of, this is how you set your shoulders.
Mhm.
Some people will fucking like miss that, or I mean, you'll see it out there with just people training on their own. They're doing rows, and it's like you're out of alignment, like you're adding to stress because you're teaching the body to be tense and to be ready to do what Tony just said.
Well, I think you and I talked about it. We were talking about movement patterns. There's a whole article written by Charles Poliquin, and he was talking about how bad movement patterns increase stress and inflammation in the body, because your body is trying to work around a joint movement that doesn't actually work for it. So let's say your joint is supposed to go like this.
Yeah,
or bend
this is
extend.
the optimal here.
And if it's jacked up, it's trying to like grind through it.
And it goes here.
Yeah. And you're trying to get in that position because anatomically you should be able to get there.
Yeah.
Let's say you're just extend the elbow. That's tendonitis. A lot of people have tennis elbow, and this is happening. But because you have so much tightness, instead of just grinding or not gliding back and forth the way you should, it's like out of alignment and then trying to go this way. So now you have nothing but stress in your system.
Absolutely.
And that's important too. I mean, especially too if you've got too tight of, let's say if your hip flexors, for example, because I know my hip flexors are tight. Your hip flexors are too tight. Other muscles are going to have to make up the difference for what that's supposed to do. And now you've got other muscles that aren't supposed to be a main muscle group to help you walk, trying to help you walk. So you throw everything out of alignment. It messes with your posture, which in terms of just like regular body function, posture is one of the most important things. And that's one thing that I talk to my team classes about all the time is posture. Is like, as I'm sitting here like, you know.
All of you say, Isaac like subtly moves and everyone's
okay. As we're all like not sitting up straight.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's true though. I mean, with your alignment, one thing that the chiropractor here, Dr. Jason, had actually said to me that kind of was like a really big, because I have terrible posture. And I've had terrible posture all my life, and I'm working really, really hard on fixing that in terms of making sure that my shoulders are set, which, you know, it's like it hurts because everything up here is too tight, everything back here is not. And one thing that he had said with my alignment was because of the fact that my shoulders round forward, my head comes forward, and not a lot. He's like, it's very, very minute. He's like, but for every degree that you add, he's like, you're adding weight to your body.
Yeah,
And
you
I
add
was
like
like
10 pounds per inch.
So it's like thinking about it, I'm like, holy cow, me like balancing on my, you know, balls of my feet versus sitting back onto my heels is adding weight and stress to my body to just kind of continue that throughout the day. So not only am I starting my day with bad posture and starting my day with stress, because now you're adding, your body's like, oh crap, okay, we gotta try to, you know, pull back, you know, we gotta realign the muscles, make sure we've got other muscles working the way they're not supposed to. And that's stress in and of itself. And then on top of that, add trying to exercise, add trying to go to school, add trying to get here and work on time, and then it's just your cortisol levels go through the roof. And
you're
not okay.
out of alignment, and you're trying to work out in something that's meant to go here, and you're going here. So then that joint is now stressed because you're not gliding, you're grinding, it's just out of alignment. So then that's stressful because now you have to get nutrients and recovery cells to repair that. Inflammation happens because there's something that's not supposed to, so it's protecting the body. And then what does it do to your breathing? Right? We're here, we're forward, like you don't get that deep breath that we're supposed to. How many people are like, That's what I always tell my clients. I always touch on it with walking.
I don't know, you took a really deep breath and it
Yeah.
made me yawn.
Oh, that's
I don't
how
know
it
what
works.
happened.
It's like
Yeah.
strictly that when somebody else
Yeah.
yawns, your brain or something happens.
So it's a feedback loop. One of the guys.
Yes,
so
that's what it is.
One of the guys that I used to work with, I've worked with some really interesting people. He had listened to a podcast. I mean, this is going back when I was in college, so we're almost 10, 11 years ago now. And he had listened to a podcast that basically said the reason why yawning is contagious is because when you travel in a herd, no matter what the distance is, you can see someone yawn. So if I'm yawning because I'm in the front and I yawn, I can pass that yawn on, and it sends the line of, okay, when you get to this point, we're going to stop, we're going to rest. There's no reason to stop and get ready for battle. It's stop and rest. So that's why it's
crazy.
automatic. It's
That's so
first form of
Because
communication.
it's been thousands and thousands and
Yeah.
millions of years.
Which
It's
is
so crazy.
interesting because we have little things called memory cells, which for infants and like young children is very, very important, which animals have them too, monkeys especially. They have memory cells. And so what happens is when you see something, it's automatic responses to mimic it. So that's why when you do stuff, kids mimic you.
Yeah.
And so it's a matter of learning how to be an adult. It's learning how to, function correctly. And so that plays into a lot with the yawning and things like that too. And for, like you said, that makes sense absolutely. As in terms of if somebody at the front is, getting ready to calm down. Oh, okay. Now I'm sitting here talking about yawning. I'm trying to keep myself from yawning.
That's funny.
Yeah. But I mean, it's really fascinating, the kinds of things, and just like natural. What's the word I'm thinking of? Reflexes, natural reflexes that we have. Just to be able to, try to fit in. Like, we are a herd. Like, we are a pack.
Yeah.
We're pack animals. That's what we are. And so everything that, somebody else does, you're going to want to mimic. You're going to want to try to fit in. I love, like, falling into YouTube holes of, like, watching, like, those kinds of, little studies
Yeah.
and stuff. Like, it's just fascinating what we will do to fit in.
Yeah.
But fall into that.
So back to with my clients, how many people do we see walk wrong?
Yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah.
But then it goes back to, who are we taught to walk correctly? Go back to when I wasn't taught to walk. My parents didn't say, you have to walk this way, that way. Make sure that your hips are pulling you forward, leaning over, right? You're falling forward with your hips, not leaning over, right? We're not, and then we were told that heel to toe was the right way to run and then walk, and so like, are we taught to breathe? Are we taught to let the air fill up? Because the diaphragm is a muscle.
I think it works in reverse because I think you're born like birds. No one teaches a bird how to fly.
Yeah.
It just
Kinda
either
happens.
it happens or it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
When you look at kids, so I noticed this with Ava. Literally, what you were talking about is when they start walking, they literally lead with their stomachs. They lead with their center, and I mean that's why they seem
It's
to
like
get
they're
going.
being pulled by a string around their waist.
And it's almost perpetual motion because they start to go, and sometimes they're on the balls of their feet, sometimes they walk through the heel. That's always
and
different
that's
for a kid.
instability based off of finger lengths,
Exactly.
anything that happens in the environment.
But we have that innate movement, and I think we actually learn stress from watching. So, like, and if you watch, like, a lot of kids, when they start mimicking their parents. Like you said, we mimic certain things.
Yeah.
And Kitty was saying this the other day, like, when Ava and I are sitting at the table, and she says something, she's like, it's creepy, because you guys make the exact same face to the exact same comments. And she's like, doesn't matter what it is. It's like, she was literally...
That is so cute.
We were sitting side by side, and she's like, it all makes
That's
sense now.
weird.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And it's learned. So when you think about that learned pattern, but the movement itself, we didn't learn that. We talk about, and I tell this to my parents with kids. Yeah, basically people who have kids that I work with. Parents. Whatever it is you do, your kids will mimic. So if you're always in a stress state, you're always like screaming and yelling, your kids are going to get screaming and yelling. If you're always very calm and very like just mellow, the kids are usually mellow. If you focus on breathing and taking care of yourself, the kids will focus on breathing and taking care of themselves because they learn that there's an order to things, there's a way that you should actually conduct yourself. And the breathing thing, I mean, I can't tell you how many clients that I've given homework to watch YouTube videos on breathing, sorry, YouTube holes, YouTube videos on breathing and how to breathe and why they should breathe that way. And the next week they've lost a pound or two just because they're less stressed, because they're literally just the way that they're supposed to. And it's like, I feel so much calmer, I feel so much better.
good.
Yeah.
So good. Just sitting there, because there's times that I'll have to do that in between like studying, because I'll start getting into, because once I start the cycle of starting to get stressed, my body just goes, okay, and I just like tumble into like crazy amounts of stress. So it's
a
like
habit.
all
Yeah.
this, like, when it comes down to homework, and that's the thing that I've been starting to do, is like I have to take a step back and push my book away, and I sit there and I just, and I'll just breathe for a couple of seconds, and then it's amazing how my body goes, oh, okay. And it's like I feel like I'm melting into my chair. Like, it's amazing just how good I feel. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to let you fall into this perpetual hole of panic just because I'm doing homework. Like, homework should not have me panicking. This isn't due for several days. Calm down.
Yeah.
And so, okay, bring myself back together. It's fine. Breathe. And then I go back into my homework, and it's like I can focus again, because then I'm not thinking about the next assignment. I'm like focusing on this, get it done, and then I get things done faster, which is awesome. And then by the time I step away from my homework, I can let that stress go. And it's like, okay, cool, I can go about the rest of my day, and that is not something I'm going to continue to dwell on.
Yeah.
But I mean, just really, just breathing is an amazing tool in terms of just reducing your stress levels.
Oh yeah. Well, I read a book, I want to say, when I've been in Texas, like 8 years ago. No, that doesn't matter. Let's say 8 years ago. And it was called The Art of Mind Control. And the reason why I picked it up, I was like, really? Like, all right, why not?
I'd be like, cool.
I mean, yeah, it's not the strangest thing I've ever read. But it was more about internal mind control. And they talked about, in The Art of Ninjutsu, the reason why ninjas were so stealthy, and this goes back to the Wim Hof thing, is they had the ability to control their breathing. So they would only breathe once or twice per minute. So the amount of air that they would be able to get in, it would look like they're dead. And if you saw them, you wouldn't see any movement, because the breath was so long and smooth on the way in, which is why they had really good aim, which is why they were very calm and very collected, and why they were assassins.
Walk
because
so quietly.
Yeah, because you had control over your body, and that breathing, since you're not erratic with your breathing, you're not focused on it. Like, if we tell you be quiet, and think about any situation where you have to be really quiet,
Well,
you automatically
play hide and seek.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I
Yeah.
notice it the most.
Yeah.
Where I'm like,
Yeah, you're like, oh my god, my breathing is so loud.
It's like you have to. It's like you're setting something down without waking somebody up. You have to carefully put your breath down.
Yep.
And you're like,
Yeah.
breathing. And that's when we get stressed. We start
Mm-hmm.
shallow breathing, and we're not completing our breaths, and we're going right into the next one, right?
Yeah.
And that teaches the tight. We're not getting oxygen.
Yeah, and that allows for carbon dioxide to build up in your lungs,
Yeah.
which causes stress, because
Exactly.
it's very acidic in the body.
Exactly where we're going with it, and that's why you tell your clients.
Mhm.
We tell our clients, breathe.
Yep.
Right? You got to learn to breathe.
And it's shocking, because everyone has the same reaction, like, okay, your
I know
homework
how
is
to breathe.
breathing. I know, I've been breathing my whole life. Clearly, it's not working for you.
Yeah.
Let's just try something different. I feel amazing.
I know, don't you? Isn't
I
it
know.
awesome?
It's like, when you do something right, it feels good, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So we challenge you to breathe.
Yeah.
We challenge you guys to breathe.
I'll
I think
put some
that's a
links
good
in there.
challenge. Think of it as very rhythmic,
Mm-hmm.
and then just carefully set it down. Don't take your next breath until you need it. Do it through the nose.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing people start
Yeah.
mouth breathing.
Yeah, your breathing should be you should be fully exhaling before you get the next inhale.
Yeah.
And that's where people go wrong. Because when you think about, and I've given this example before, I think you guys have heard me do it, or I may have given it to you. The breathing that you are seeing right now is the same that you would see if someone was crying or upset. Because when you're upset and you breathe, you're... So talking is literally, all I'm doing is putting a word there. I'm putting a sound with that exhale and inhale, and it's the same rapid fire breathing. So if you're talking all day and you're not focusing on that when you need to, you're crying all day. Your system is literally like, oh crap, like this is panic breathing, this is anxiety breathing, this isn't relaxation.
I have made it a point, I think for 2 or 3 years now, to like just be aware of my breathing. And so many times throughout those time, I catch myself just getting worked up, where I'm either not breathing, or I'm breathing too quickly, or I'm not finishing my breath completely. And when that happens, I'm just not making as much sense, just not as confident. Stress affects me so much more. And then it's just that simple reminder of take the deep breaths, finish your breath, right? Go back to your basic fundamentals of breathing, right? And then all of a sudden it's like that. Your body's like, it's not that important. Don't be stressed out. goes back to the Larry thing.
Yeah.
Don't worry, because it's not a true emotion. Only show emotion that you can exude, like anger, happiness, and sadness, things like that. But crazy. Breathing.
Going back to what Stephanie was saying about like her weight being shifted forward, the phrase "stay on your toes" is when you shift your weight forward, it sends that exact response because the number of nerves in your feet, it's like something
Dude,
ridiculous.
it's insane. It's
So,
insane.
and that's where reflexology comes in, and that's where you're supposed to get, like, if nothing else, massage on your feet because it breaks up those nerves and
Well,
allows them to actually.
If you,
I
I
love
don't know if
feet
people can see,
massages.
but if you get the balls of your feet and then you're just, you do this, like a pump,
Oh, yeah.
it'll actually help your lymphatic system, like recirculate.
Yeah.
And we know how important the lymphatic
Yeah.
system is, and it's kind of like, whoa, when I read that, dude, I literally, every night, I'm just there with my toes. I do
Yeah.
it like 10 times real quick.
Because I do that in the sauna, just like naturally just trying to crack the knuckles
I
and
start
get them
messing
going.
with I started doing toe exercises.
Yeah, you're saying that.
I'm literally trying to do this with my toes. I'm lifting my toes up and putting my big toe down by itself, or it'd be this one, sorry. But yeah, but literally, I want to get to the point where I can lift just this like toe.
Yeah.
I want to be able to move it like I move my fingers.
Why'd you stop wearing toe shoes?
Because I didn't like the way they looked with my uniform. Straight up, it's just a visual thing. When I get home, I put my toe shoes back on.
Fair enough. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
You're
it
like
was
the-
just
I
it was
mean,
just that
yeah.
like it was just one of those things.
Because you're going through it, I'm like,
Yeah, and it was strictly just that's the only. I still have them, and then I basically I love the toe shoes. They're my favorite. But yeah, when I'm in the sauna, like naturally,
Yeah.
it's just my foot health. I want to
Yeah.
try and keep that arch, and I want to be able to control myself. And dude, I'm like controlling my pinky toes. Like I'm actually reaching out and putting them down.
That is so
It's
weird.
fucking nuts. It is so nuts. It's like, boop. It's like, whoa. And sometimes there's people in there, and I'm like this, and I'm trying so hard. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
I get mad. I'm like, damn it. And then I'm like, sorry. And I'll try again. And sure enough, sometimes you just need that break. And you're
Yeah.
like, all right, get the
Focus.
Again, sometimes I'm just focusing too much on doing it. I'm not breathing.
Yep.
So then it's so funny. And yeah, even when you're in the sauna, breathing the right way helps you last from 20 minutes to 30 to 40, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's the longest you've ever done it? 50.
Full hour.
Full hour.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's crazy.
I hit 40 the other day. I think I told you it
Yeah.
felt like pretty easy.
It was awesome. And then, so the other part of that is when you rest on your heels, that's more parasympathetic. That's more resting
Rest, yeah.
because you're taking all the pressure off of those nerves.
Yep.
So now, when you think about it, if your head is forward, it amplifies the weight of your body, like we talked about. Now, all that pressure's on the ball of your foot. It mimics you running because now all the time you're always pressing down.
Yeah.
So you're always leaning forward. So you're always turned on to that stress response. Once you can shift your weight back and the proper postural alignment,
And your hips come back with it.
yeah,
Because sometimes what will happen is they're like, the head falls forward, and then they're on their balls of their feet, or maybe even still on the heels of their feet, but their head's forward, so then the back, like the
It's-
whole neck,
yeah.
the spine, the thoracic spine, that's kind of is altered. But yeah, and then there's the people who are just kind of forward like that, so then
Yeah.
they got like their hips sticking out, right? They're kind of like this,
Yeah.
right? Because they're not only on the balls of their feet, they're leaning forward, so they're kind of here, right?
Is this where I take a shot at Instagram models?
That's exactly where that's it,
Oh my
man.
Yes.
It's that
I mean,
easy.
honestly,
That was like the perfect pose.
it's like
Yeah.
the most intense pelvic tilt. that
Yeah,
you
oh
can
my gosh.
see.
So instead of that, we want to be basically midfoot, right? Hips over there, and then you're squeezing your glutes.
Yeah.
I mean, we're squeezing the glutes, tight core.
And the pelvic bone should be neutral, and if not forward, but it should definitely be neutral. So you don't want to have a butt that's back here.
Yeah,
You know, you want to make sure that you're stacked,
it's here.
Yeah.
and your muscles should be doing the work, not your skeletal system.
Yeah. If you
you're-
do have that, then it shows tight hip flexors, which,
Yeah.
I mean, I have
Which
some
is
tight hip flexors.
which is my problem because I mean all my jobs I've ever had have been seated jobs,
Yeah.
and so coming here and now I'm up on my feet all day and things like that. Like I go home and I sometimes get a little bit of pain in my lower back
Mhm.
and stuff like that. So it's like I'm working on my hip flexors as far as being able to help to release that.
Yeah.
Since I've started that, I mean it's amazing just how much
Yeah.
better my lower back feels, my body feels, because I don't feel, and I feel like because my hips rotate forward, I don't know if that's like wanting me to lean forward too,
Well,
and then I'll
it's-
send myself
It's
back.
bringing your top half forward,
Mhm.
Yeah.
which is like, it's just you're falling forward with the chest instead of the hips. Like
Yeah.
think of it as a throttle. When you push the throttle, the whole throttle leans over.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of like that. You're just being pulled with.
And that makes sense.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of times that I'll be standing and then I'll find myself going back into my
Yeah.
previous posture and I'm like, oh crap. So I'll bring my hips back, I'll tuck my butt under, I'll bring my
gosh, yeah.
hips back in, and
So
I'll
good
realign
for you.
myself. I'm like, oh okay. And then it's amazing how much longer I can stand.
Yeah.
Because I used to hate standing. I'm like, hate standing because everything hurts. And I'll tuck my butt back under, I'll bring myself back into alignment, I'll bring my shoulders back, and you feel good.
You know,
feel good.
In the best, most effective way to fix your hip flexor issue is to focus on when you're standing. Because you're going to be standing way more than you are in the gym to be able to stretch them and foam roll them and do what is necessary.
Yeah.
But if you're teaching the body good habits, now you're turning on your glutes, and just that simple activation is going to tell the body, hey, hip flexors, calm down. We don't need you as much anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Same thing goes with walking or running. When I have some client, man, we have some issues right now. We're gonna figure it out. But when you're running, it's like they're trying to figure out how to fix their stride. I'm like, whoops, your walking's messed up. Like I guarantee your gait's messed up if you're. So let's start with your walking, and you walk everywhere. So you can literally spend hours and hours focusing on your walking, which will legit fix the overall problem.
Yeah.
Which is true. I mean, going into the walking though, is I do have someone in my team class who's just complaining about her knees hurting. She's like, my knees hurt, my knees hurt, my knees hurt, my knees hurt. And I went into talking to her
She's
about,
walking like this.
and she's got on shoes that she shouldn't be running in.
Oh.
And
That makes
so
a huge
we were like,
difference.
okay, so your shoes. So shoes a big thing. She also has a seated job, so her hip flexors are really tight. On top of that, everything else is tight. So she went from not running to running. And you know, and I brought that up. It's, you know, your muscles are now tight. You've got overactive muscles, and are you properly recovering? Are you foam rolling after class? Well, no. Okay, well that's an issue. You need to make sure that we're stretching. The little like 2 or 3 stretches that we do in team is not enough. We do that just to help to lengthen a little bit. You need to do more after class. That's just the frustrating part to some people, because it's frustrating for me when that happens to me. And it's hard as an individual to be like, well, I am stretching. I am foam rolling. Am I foam rolling every single time I exercise? No. Am I doing it once a week? Yeah, maybe.
A lot of people definitely aren't putting in the work. I think for every
Exactly.
hour of exercise, you should try and do 15 minutes of like mobility.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like even if it's not that same day, but like maybe her biggest feedback to that would be like, I don't have time. I gotta get home. I gotta make dinner,
Mhm.
right? And it's like, yeah, you're absolutely right. So don't stay after class, but maybe find a day where you can fully commit an hour to just mobility,
Yeah.
and that would be maybe beneficial because.
Exactly.
Now, yeah, she's not taking that extra time, and it's adding stress because now she's rushing even more to get home. But she's finding that one day that's full relaxation of the muscles and stuff.
And that's important, and that's very important.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things is that it is frustrating because I've had issues with my knees. I've had plantar fasciitis. But once I started actually, like, I got a little lacrosse ball and I roll my feet almost every day. Almost every day. It was every day for a while, and I forget here and there. But it's still several times a week. And I sit and I'm doing my homework.
Yeah.
It just you know, sit, you just kind of, it's just emotion. It's just whatever. I'll sit and I'll roll my feet. And I have not had any issues. It got so bad I couldn't drive. I couldn't bring my feet back. I couldn't come back into dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, nothing. Like, it hurt so bad. Couldn't drive. And I just started making sure I'm releasing my calves, making sure I'm focusing on my shins, making sure that I'm rolling my feet. And that has been the most unbelievable thing.
Absolutely.
And it's like experiencing it, you know, it helps you to believe that, yeah, this does work. Well, yeah, of course it works. So it's just one of those things that making the time, everybody sits and watches TV. Everybody does.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's for 20 minutes.
Foam roll while you watch TV.
Exactly.
Yeah.
While you're watching TV, it's not a big deal. You can sit, you can still see the TV, set yourself up so you can see the TV and just foam roll.
Yeah.
Versus just sitting on the couch. And you don't have to be warmed up to foam roll. It's fine. That's something you can do whenever.
Yeah.
And so definitely just, you have time to do it.
It'd be good to do
to
right
make
before
sure.
bed too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It
well,
starts turning down your body. You're at 100 and you go to 80, 70, 60. You start turning your body down, and then your melatonin can actually come out.
Mhm.
And you get better sleep.
You're more relaxed.
More relaxed.
Less stress.
And the power plate's an awesome tool to utilize
Yeah.
too, to help to
How bad is the overall lower back fasciitis acting up right now?
significantly better.
Or everything
Then-
overall? Like how often are you in discomfort?
Maybe every couple of weeks when I'm overstressed.
When you like stop
When I
like
stop-
stretching and all
When
that?
I stop making
Yeah.
time for it, it was all the time. It used to be all the time. Within the past, honestly, like 6 months to a year,
It's gotten way better.
I've actually focused and tried to make sure that I do those things to make sure that after I exercise I foam roll or doing some sort of recovery and making sure that recovery is just as important as exercise. That has definitely minimized that.
And it becomes even more important as you get older.
Yeah.
Like, I see some dudes out there that are just like, man, you are not stretching enough for your age.
It's horrible.
It's so it's like.
And guys are worse. I mean, guys are
Guys
the
are
worst
the
about
worst, for
mobility.
sure.
I started a 7 a.m. men's Pilates class, and I did a live video this morning. I don't know if you guys saw that I went live.
No, I
No,
didn't
I
see
didn't.
it. I saw it pop up on my phone, but I didn't.
It's just the noises. So it's not the guys doing anything. It's just the noise they were making doing leg circles. Yeah, it was. I honestly I don't usually laugh at my clients.
You didn't want to embarrass them by
Yeah,
showing them.
so I had it like pointing at literally the chair that was in the room. So pretty much think about leg circle. If this was my hip,
Yeah.
this is the movement that you're doing. And because of the tightness, it looked like a gear shifter going off.
Yeah.
And then it was like, it burns. And I'm like, I was dying. I'm like, you guys are like, this is really hurting. And they're like, yeah. And it's because they're not moving right. They're not doing anything right. They're not engaging right. So that's where, you talk about back pain. Think about how much pain you have to be in if your hip joint can't make a circle.
Yeah.
If you're coming out and you're doing this, and, guys are, I'm not going to stretch, I'm good, whatever else. I literally have yet to have a guy go into the Pilates studio and come out and go, that was a waste of my time. Usually they're dying.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I need this.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need Pilates. I need Pilates for my back, and I need Pilates for my core, because my back is the one thing that really does give me the most problems. Because
Yeah.
I have all of my life, my shoulders have been rounded forward.
Yeah.
This is the hardest thing for me because bringing them back where they're supposed to be, this is painful for me.
Does it hurt?
It hurts, and so for me, that's a big thing.
See,
so
when I do it, I'm like, oh my gosh, it feels so much better.
Yeah.
it hurts. It hurts my chest. It hurts my back.
Wow.
And I get these really ugly spasms right along my spine
Yeah.
from when I try to do that for too long.
Oh,
and
it's
so
the
that's
muscle already. It's
Yeah.
the endurance
done.
isn't
It's
high.
done.
Yeah,
It's
it's
it
so
has no
funny.
idea.
and so for me, my lower body has improved significantly. But this is what I'm working on a lot now. So my focus right now has been just sitting up straight. So I'm like, I'll focus on my shoulders and I'll focus on this after I can get myself sitting up straight consistently. So that's my focus right now. So I'm trying to take it as slow as possible.
Another thing is just turn those thumbs
Mhm.
back and reach those thumbs for this guy. You see what happens on my shoulders?
Oh yeah,
How
it
they
comes
do
back.
And all of a sudden, yeah, right there.
Oh, hey,
And then
that
now
was
drop your
pretty good.
shoulders. There you go.
One
There you go.
thing
And
I
now
found-
let them go. Let them go and act normal. And now they're set.
Oh, that feels really good.
Yeah. instead of because again, a lot of times, if you're already out of alignment and you go, boom, it's like it didn't really do what it was supposed to get set in alignment.
Uh-huh.
So you have to, sometimes you need a trainer, right? Like not a trainer like me, but like a thumb just to give you
Like
a cue,
something to
like a
train
cue.
your body to go
Yeah,
back.
and then all of a sudden your shoulders roll back, and then if they come up, then you just lower them down. And all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, there's that resistance. And if that cramp comes on, you'll notice the more and more you work on it, you're slowly making that muscle work. And then when it cramps, it's just because of the fatigue. It eventually just wants to get too tight.
It's done, yeah.
So then you relax, then you're like, all right, let me stretch it out, and then you go right back to it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I noticed
so usually
that.
we'll foam roll because when I get that, because when I do sit with my shoulders back like that, I'll go and I'll sit in the foam roller for a little while.
Yeah.
What I really need to do is I just need to take the lacrosse ball to the muscles along my spine. But yeah, it's we're not perfect.
Oh man, we're dealing with stuff.
Fall
I told you guys
Yeah.
about my neck issue.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's the thing, I know exactly how to fix it. I gotta relax my upper traps. I gotta relax my chest. Then I just gotta build the strength in my rhomboids, mid or low traps. And it's some rhomboids, some teres, minor and major stuff. But
Some things that may help you guys, I've started incorporating a lot of farmer's walks, not medium
Yeah, you're
farmer's
right,
walks,
because
because
in
it
the right
forces
way.
you there, and your chest has to come up. your pelvis
I
has
saw
to
your
tilt.
clients.
Really
You had your
good
clients
idea.
doing it. I
Yeah.
saw it. Yeah.
And that was the one thing I kept yelling at him, like, keep your shoulders back. Because
Dude.
one, you don't think about it, but it also, it pulls your
so
shoulders down
right.
for you. So you're gonna get those same cramps and you're gonna get that same work, but it strengthens what's
You
supposed
can even
to
work
be
through
working.
that cramp,
Uh-huh.
and that cramp will go. And it'll just release.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually an awesome idea.
It just
Every
makes
time
sure
I
you're not
pick
doing
like
this.
kettlebells
Yeah.
up for my clients and I'm walking them over
It's-
to where
yep.
they're stationed, you know, we have good form.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my gosh, it feels so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll try this back. I got it.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
And
That's a
it's-
great tip.
It's for us. It's easier because we carry stuff for our clients all day. But if you think about it, like if you're carrying groceries or you're carrying things, you don't have to even out the load. You just have to have the load centered right, and you're not trying to dig for everything. And you can put your groceries on the ground. They're in a bag. They're probably inside of a bag, inside of a bag. And a lot of people are like trying to like hold all their groceries, get the keys in the door, put them
Holding
down.
them like this
Yeah.
and then trying to, yeah.
So just same thing. Just open up and actually allow the muscles to hold the way that they were built to hold.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then when you won't have back
It
problems.
just goes to a stress thing. When
Yeah.
you don't want to put the thing down because
Yeah,
you
like,
just don't want to
you're gonna
waste
win.
time, that's stress.
Yeah.
Like, just put the thing down, we'll take the extra 5
Yeah.
seconds, pick it back up, and now you're in the door. And you didn't crick your shoulder out of place.
And that's the one thing, like, you know, when you think about like lifestyles, families, kids, everything else, you take that little extra time to de-stress yourself, whether it's putting the groceries down, getting your body in proper alignment, or whatever else, that trickles out to the whole family. So now if you walk into a house, so if we all live together, and I walk in the house and I'm stressed, you guys are going to feel that, you know, no matter what
Oh,
your
yeah.
feelings are on stress. Like, I'm going to walk in and now all of a sudden you two are on alert because it's like, well, what's his problem?
Already,
And
like,
then
me
it's-
doing that kind
yeah.
of makes my heart rate go up a little bit.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God.
So now you see like families that argue a lot or get stressed, get upset. It's someone walks in with that thing, and it's like, okay, we didn't address it, or you didn't take care of yourself, or you didn't do this, and now all of us are tight. All of us are in pain from something that doesn't move the right way. So now if I start to get antsy, you start, like, you already got there, and now we're both there. So now Isaac's like, what's going to happen here?
So now
I'm
he's
in
stressed out.
I'm in between these two, and they're
You're gonna
both acting
fight.
that way. Yeah,
Exactly.
and that's but that's
She's
what
all,
it is.
yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh shit, she's
Like, all
gonna
right,
fight.
it's going down. But that's what it comes down to. And if you start taking those little extra steps, and I realized this when Ava was little, like if I took those extra steps, like every night before bed I would foam roll, and as she would get older, I would kind of teach her to like think through and work through problems, because it's easier on me if I'm explaining something slowly and steadily. I'm not getting angry that she's not tying her shoes. I'm thinking about, okay, well, this is the process of tying your shoes. And you're relating to a child, and you're not getting stressed out. So I don't think I've ever actually raised my voice at Ava.
Yeah, I think you told me that.
Yeah, I mean maybe once we're like, hey, I need your
you-
attention.
Yeah, that's right.
You're
You
like,
told me
"Hey."
that's the only time
Yeah.
you raise your voice.
And if
is when she's just like kind of watching TV or
And
something.
that's the thing, like the reaction is really interesting too, because I'll raise my voice, and it really is that fight or flight response. And I'm like, I've never had to actually like, hey, I just need your
That's
attention.
so
Like,
true.
are you ready to eat? Yeah, okay. Like dinner's on the table.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You know,
that's true.
it's never like.
When I yell at Zared, it's what?
Yeah.
It's point made.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
And that's the way it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to be okay.
Always
yeah,
yelling.
You
Yeah.
shouldn't be used to that.
Yeah,
kind
you're not
of,
supposed to be yelling at kids
Oh,
for everything.
great, Isaac's yelling again.
Yeah.
What do you want?
It's that point where it's not background noise. It's us yelling or screaming or doing anything aggressive.
It's
It's
alert,
supposed to be
it's alertness. Yeah.
an isolated incident, and it's all comes down to breathing, movement, and just doing those things increases your perceived patience. So your patience with any situation is only as good as you feel.
Yeah.
If you feel like crap, your patience level is going to go down.
Yeah, that's true. And when I feel that way, remember I said I've been working on the breathing the last 3 years. When I feel that way, it's like, all right, man, you got to breathe. Like, you got to take some time. And that's just a few breaths.
Mhm.
And that's it. But if it gets really hard, then I just up my sauna.
Yeah.
Up my sauna, get better with my nutrition, right? Take some more vitamins, things like that.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, it's like I'll get frustrated with David sometimes, and it's like, and I don't want to say I get like ugly, but it's like I'll get this just tense. Everything gets frustrated because I'm like, you're not doing what I'm telling you to do. And I just stop, and I'm like, I'll walk out of the room. I'll walk out of the room because I'm like, I'm not going to start a fight over something stupid. I might get snappy. I might have snapped at you, but I walk out. Go away.
Yeah.
I go away. I come back. It's like, I'm sorry. I apologize.
This is where we are.
This is what I was trying to say. You come back and you calm down. Just calm down.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to stay like stressed. And if somebody's made you mad, tell them.
Yeah.
Like, just talk to them and be like, look, this is why I'm frustrated.
Before
And
it
the
gets
thing
worse.
is, and then you feel better.
Before it gets worse.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, think about all arguments. 90% of most arguments, and you guys are both in relationships too, so you get this, and you've got got Zared running around the house. He's not super little, but it comes down to either something wasn't communicated, or you were already irritated at something else, and that exacerbated the problem.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that thing that happened, it's like, okay, there's a bottle cap on the floor. There's a Cheeto on the floor. Like, literally, there's a Cheeto over there.
There's a Cheeto over there.
And that instead of being like, why is there a Cheeto here? It's like, which one of you guys dropped the Cheeto on the floor?
Exactly. If you're already
it's-
frustrated,
Yeah.
you
It's
coming
like,
in
dude,
and
it wasn't
something
me.
just-
It was already here.
Yeah, of course it was.
Of course,
Yeah.
you're not gonna believe me.
See, but that's how it starts. It's exactly how it goes.
Exactly.
And it's like, it's a Cheeto on the floor. Like, how?
It's just pick it up and put it in the trash.
Yeah, it's like, you think about it, it's like the dishes are dirty. And this is a huge pet peeve of mine. Sorry, Katie. Like, you come home and the dishes are dirty.
okay.
And it's like, I know. And
I
it's like,
understand.
I come home and it's like, okay, like, you're watching TV and the dishes are dirty. But it's not really that big of a deal. It's like, all right, I'm just hammering these out. They're done. It's over. You know, and that's it. And it's why waste the effort arguing over it? Why waste the time getting like upset about it?
Yeah.
I can handle it.
Is it important?
It's not important enough to argue about.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
if you were to really break down, and you see this too, and I've done this with like husbands and wives and like nutrition sessions, if you were to break down each argument and write down what the argument was about, if you were to actually put what we were arguing about on a piece of paper, you'd look at it and go, the dumbest thing to argue about ever. Like, seriously?
Me and my mom got into a fight one time over mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom. It's hilarious now. We talk like it's just funny now, but we got into a huge argument over making my dad mashed potatoes because she didn't tell me that it was for my dad.
Yeah.
And so she was like, just come make mashed potatoes. And I was like, I don't want mashed potatoes. I was like, I'll do baked potatoes. She's like, no, come to make mashed potatoes. I was like, no. And then I stayed in the living room. And then she got mad at me. And she let it get fester. And she got upset. And she didn't come say anything to me. And so she comes out of the kitchen and she's like, are you just not going to make the mashed potatoes? It's like, I told you I don't want them on my baked potatoes. And she was so mad. And it's like, and it's fine. I mean, we calmed down and we talked about it. And she was like, I wanted you to make them for your dad.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's all you had to say. I'm like, if you had just told me they were for dad, I would have gotten up and made them for dad. Like, that's not a problem. But it was just like,
And she's
she
like,
was already
why
frustrated.
do I have to say that?
Yeah.
She was, though. She was. I mean, it's like, and I get it. I love you, Mom. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for not making the mashed potatoes. But, it's like, and I look at it, and it's like, she was already irritated because she felt like she got dinner started late. So she was already in an upset, state. So she was in an upset state of mind. Dad was going to be coming home soon. She wanted to have, because they live in another state, she wanted to have a nice family dinner. And so she got upset with me because I wasn't helping. And it's like, and I sit back and I look at it and I'm like, oh man, I exacerbated that because I didn't think about why is it that she wants me to make mashed potatoes so darn bad.
Yeah.
And it's like I look back at it, I was like, that was a stupid argument.
Yeah.
I could have solved that by just getting up and making the dang mashed potatoes.
Or asking
Or,
why,
or
why,
asking
why do you
why.
want mashed and not baked? Oh, it's
Yeah.
for dad. Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
cool. No
I
big
got
deal.
that, yeah.
And so it was just like, it was a stupid argument. It was an argument over mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
We laugh about it now. That's a funny thing in the house, but I mean,
And
it's
that's
just
kind of
silly.
where I think it was the Fat Diet podcast where we were like, if you had the cupcake,
Yeah.
if you had the bad food, don't freak out about it. Like, it happened.
Yeah.
Right? Like, don't let that stress build up because it's so much worse. It's stress. You're going to die faster.
I think maybe that's what we should do next time. Go over like things to fix stress, like what we do to
Yeah.
actually
Techniques, strategies.
Yeah,
Oh,
That's
that's
a good-
cool. I like that.
itemizing things that aren't really stressors that people think are stressors,
Yeah.
and then really breaking down like why are you irritable because your nourishment is stress? We talked about that at the beginning.
Yeah.
Is that why you're irritated? Like, because I noticed, started getting those veggie tots. I don't know if you guys have had those.
I have not.
I got the idea from Eddie because he refused to eat vegetables.
Oh, Eddie, yeah.
And I got the idea, and Ava liked them, and I noticed that when I eat them, like, I start getting anxious, like, because the wheat that's in them. Like, literally, like, they hit my mouth, I'm like, oh, they're good, and I noticed I can't stop eating them. It's literally, like, it's stupid. Like, they're there, and I just go, and then as soon as, like, they start to hit my stomach, I start to get that anxious, like, feeling. But identifying things like that before it becomes, like, an issue, because, like,
Yeah.
I'll say something, like, I flat out said to Katie, I was like, something feels weird, and this way.
It's so funny
I
how we
reset it.
work
Yeah.
because as soon as we feel that it's not supposed to be like that, because
Yeah.
we know how it's supposed to work, it's like, because I have the same conversations with Heather.
Yeah.
It's like, we can't get this again because it's got this in it.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's
funny because I talked to David about that stuff too, where I was like, I don't feel good.
Yeah.
I don't feel good. I don't want to eat at that restaurant because I don't
Yeah.
feel good.
they probably
it's-
did something with this, and you're like, yeah.
It's just not right. But we identified that, and in a normal
We
household,
need
I start
to-
feeling anxious, and
Yeah.
it goes back to that other thing.
Mhm.
I start feeling anxious, you didn't do the dishes, you're watching TV while I was trying to cook dinner, and now, versus
And
just...
now
And the
a
dogs
fight's
aren't listening.
starting.
Yeah, and of course, the dog, why are you in my way?
The cats are on the counter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Heather and I, probably like 99% of the arguments are from everything else.
Mhm.
Like there's been a few times where it's literally that they're a legit argument that needs to happen, but it's still, I believe it's a healthy argument because
Yeah.
it helps the relationship kind of go forward.
I don't
Like,
think there's anything wrong with arguing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with bickering and arguing. I think that's fine. I think it's a matter of making sure that your point is communicated because you're an individual, I'm an individual, you're an
Yeah.
individual,
Yeah.
our significant others are individuals, and they have opinions and we have opinions, and that if I don't like what it is that you're doing because it upsets me,
Mhm.
I want you to know that. Versus not saying anything, holding it inside, causing myself stress,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna blow up and then cause a fight
Yeah.
over just me being like, please throw away the napkins,
Yeah.
you know, or please wash the dishes when you're done, or just rinse them, or please don't leave trash on the counter. Just that's all it is. Just having that conversation and then it's done.
Yeah.
That's it.
And then it's identifying too, like like I said, if you look back on the arguments, like the nickel and dime arguments, they don't better anything. They don't make anything worse. I mean, they make things worse because you're arguing over nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
And then at that point, you have
Those
to
add
prove
up.
that you're right. Right.
You
Right.
have to prove that you're right.
You have to prove that you're right. So I mean, at that point, it's like
You're obviously wrong.
I'm wrong. Yeah, clearly I'm wrong. I'm right because that's why this argument started. You're wrong because that's why this argument started.
Yeah.
And that's like you're in a spot where it doesn't matter what you do at that point. You have
It's
two
kind of
heated
one-upping
people.
in a way.
Yeah.
It's just this nonsense. This
Yeah, and it's like, well, and then you start like digging into stuff from like, 15 years ago. You're like, wow, you didn't tie your
Exactly.
shoes right. That's why you fell over that one time. Whatever it is. And it's like,
Exactly.
what are we arguing about now?
yeah.
But it really is. It's not that situation because when you think about arguments, they're not like fight or flight again. And then there's no fight, there's no flight. So if you can beat the argument before it happens,
That's exactly
You have
what
less
I
stress.
believe in too. Yeah. Defeat the problem before it exists.
yeah,
Like it's you don't just have the bad habits of eating sugar for breakfast. You don't have the bad habit of having oatmeal and cereal and orange juice with this toast and peanut butter and jelly. Like for breakfast that happens over time, right? So when you realize it the first few times, cut that shit out.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like don't let's not let that turn into a really bad habit.
Yeah.
And that goes for a lot of things.
Mhm.
But with nutrition for sure, like that's what we're here for.
yeah.
Absolutely.
But for sure, like it's cut that shit out as soon as you realize it. Like when we realize this food is causing a sensitivity in our stomach, in our body, let's not get that again.
Yeah.
What's the alternative? Okay, we can use.
Like real broccoli because I
Real
like
broccoli.
rat over the vegetables. I
Oh,
just
you
got
love,
them
yeah,
'cause-
you don't have an issue with vegetables.
The whole reason I
Or
got
with
them was
broccoli.
Yeah, I just got them because I was like, oh, they sound like a cool idea.
Yeah,
and
try it.
they're stupid.
Now
addictive,
you can
but
you
that-
can make them yourself.
Yeah.
Use almond flour instead of whatever the flour, regular flour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they use regular wheat, and it's
Yeah.
not right. Like if I have like a sandwich with wheat or I have like pancakes with
It's
wheat,
still it's still
something
different. And then it's frozen and shipped.
Yeah, and I'm
I
like,
have an issue with yeast.
Yeah.
I can't have baker's yeast.
Oof.
I get bloated and uncomfortable, and like I have a weird reaction with like food sensitivities. I
Yeah.
get like mucus buildup,
Yeah.
which is awful. And so it's
Does
like
it
when
feel
we
like you can't
go,
breathe?
I feel like
Sometimes?
my throat's full.
Mhm.
I don't know how to explain it. I
It
don't,
happens to me
and it's
sometimes.
gross, and I don't like it. And there's some restaurants that we go to, like I used to love Chipotle, but the thing is now that I've kind of started to pay attention to the little reactions that I get to food sensitivities, that when I go to Chipotle, that is one of the worst restaurants that causes that mucus buildup.
Yeah.
I hate it, because then all I want to do is just like, hot loogies all day until I
Yeah.
get this buildup in my throat
Gone.
out.
See, and that's weird. I would say try it again because I used to be the same way. We went to Chipotle, we went to Austin for that nutrition thing,
Mhm.
and I was like, oh, like because usually when
Oh,
like,
you're already dreading it?
Yeah, and when Katie and I go, like, I'm not one of those people who's ever going to say, like, no, because I like food, like, whatever, I'm just going to feel like a little bit bloated afterwards. And usually when we go to Chipotle, we both feel the same way. It's like, I'll look at her, she's like, yeah, I just feel bloated, I feel off. But the last time we went, it was like,
Because
it was
you
perfectly
hadn't
fine.
gone in a while.
Yeah, it had been, I want to say, it had been like 2 years since I went to Chipotle.
Oh, it definitely could help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was,
Just cutting it out.
yeah, and I went in, and obviously it's nothing I'm not eating.
How long has it been for you?
Last time I had it was a couple months ago.
Oh,
I
I'd
don't
wait a
know
full
how
year.
long.
Yeah, wait a little bit longer then.
Wait a full year and then reintroduce it probably.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just little things. It's like little things. Like
Yeah.
some restaurants, it's like, I don't know what they put in there, but that.
And it's also easily avoidable. Like especially restaurants. If you know a restaurant causes issues, you can easily avoid that restaurant. There's so many more.
Yeah, dude.
Absolutely. And there's places that I go that I have no reactions.
Mhm.
Like, it's amazing how starting to cut out some of the little things. Like, I know I have issues with baker's yeast. Like, I know I have issues with eggs, which sucks. Which I actually need to get my food sensitivity redone to see if maybe eggs have gone down because I haven't had eggs. Like, I might have eggs every once in a while, but it's like few far and in between. But I was eating eggs all the time,
Wow.
like a couple times a day. Like, I
Yeah.
loved eggs. And for me, my food sensitivity was 2. And so I'm hoping like maybe that went down, so maybe I can have them every once in a while
Yeah.
and not have any issues.
Yeah, absolutely.
But since I had pretty much cut all that stuff out and started to pay attention to other little things that causes that issue, like, I mean, my bloating is almost done, like gone. All right.
So next time we're going to talk about triggers, what to look for, like when
Yeah.
you're eating, what to look for to avoid stressors. Any other triggers? I guess it's really the 2 big ones.
Pay attention to like stuff you put on your face.
Yeah.
Toxins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cleaners,
Yeah. How do those things make
all
you feel?
that stuff. Yeah. And then I want to touch on like breathing techniques. Maybe definitely get some. Well, you have the links, but definitely put some. What else?
Because we can even put
We'll
that.
definitely touch on the sauna,
Yep.
or just heat shock, cold shock in general, because that's the stress.
Yeah.
Intermittent fasting and how it can affect
Fasting, very
what
much
you
so.
feel around your meals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think basically we're gonna go a little bit in more detail with what we talked about today with
Yeah.
strategies. Is
Yeah.
what we're gonna do next week. Sweet.
Strategies to handle stress.
Yeah.
All right.
Managing stress.
That works.
I think that sounds great. Well, thank you guys very
Yeah.
much. We
Thanks,
hope
guys.
you enjoyed today. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel so that we can keep you up to date for when new stuff comes out. But yeah, awesome. Thank you guys. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Have a good one.
Laters.
Thanks for checking us out. If you like this, go ahead, like it, share it, subscribe. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram.